what's happening, audience? Hope you're doing good. Cheers, as always. I'm a little bit more fluffy today. Hope you don't mind my fluffiness, but I got very interesting for you today. Why is it interesting? I mean, I like to deal with the root cause of everything. If you handle that, everything else falls into place. I mean, you do need some patience, um, because if you deal with root, then that's the fruit that you're gonna get, right? But if you deal with fruit, you're gonna keep on fighting with that reality that there's poison fruit growing on that tree. But the tree is the problem, not the thing. And so this is why uh, it's not worth it to deal with the fruit of evil. You got to deal with the root of all evil. And what is the fruit of all evil? I mean, the consequences that you see in every day. People acting in an evil manner. It's a fruit. It's not the root cause. Um, and I want to show you something. I've done some. I'm gonna share some personal experience. I've done some astral traveling last night, and I often go to basically random portals, if you will. I go into the reality that I don't know what I'm going about to see, and then I explore that and see what's that. So I went into one reality that looked desolate. Uh, it's like a messy desert kind of thing, gloomy as well, and it had like these rectangle structures there, uh, like little buildings, but then they don't look like buildings. Look like boxes, really, that may contain something. Right? That's what it looks like. And there was a type of music, if you can call it music, being played. Um, I've actually found one YouTube video that was very similar to the music that I heard. It's not a music. It's well, it is kind of. It's like ambient, but it's a very machine-like, dark, ambient music, and it's a type of vibration. It's like I don't know how it's like very dark, right? So that's what was just like the entire place is running by that music vibration, and so everything is sort of like desolate and small boxes. No, I shouldn't say small boxes, but they're boxes like buildings, like almost like these container buildings that sometimes people build it, but they didn't look good. They just like very boring looking. Um, and so I went in some of these, and long behold, but you have to understand this is like astral version of uh, the Earth, and what do you see there? You see people connected to the machine, basically interacting. The entire life is basically revolving around the machine, and I was there very obviously sort of like not affected by that tone of music, um, but everybody else in that space sort of like affected. And I had some communication with the people that I saw there. They're just souls. I don't know. I'm not sure if I know them personally, but and the communication was that well, it's kind of too late for us. We're like plugged in completely, and we won't be able to get out. We accepted basically our fate to just be part of the machine. And in contrast to that, my communication was that yeah, but that's definitely not how I see myself. And that was it. But later, as I was remembering that experience, the whole design behind it sort of came online for me, and it was about 1 second. Sorry about that. Right. So, look at this. What is that music that was playing in the background? That was the reason, because that vibration was sort of like lullabying people into this trance like state that is of sort of like um, making them feel basically bad and making them feel like they need something to fix that. And so that's why they depend on the machine, because machine will be fixing that thing that is off. But the very vibration is the thing that makes the whole thing happen. It's like you run that vibration and it programs the reality that way. Okay? It programs the reality that way. Now, and so a soul who is just entering the reality and playing that game is just completely helpless against this. It's just the program is being run because there's innocence in the soul, and it's just being programmed like that. And so they feel whatever it may be, like insecurity and whatever, and then they're looking for some. And then of course, as you know, like all these addictions to Instagram and sharing their asses and some. Ah, my God, you know what I'm trying to say? The whole bullshit that is going on, and that's where all the attention goes. Now, what I saw there was pretty much the Astral version of that. The whole thing was just basically for that purpose. Now, now you say like, why aren't you affected by that? Because I'll explain something here. So there's this bass frequency, if you will. I shouldn't say frequency, vibration that is incoherent. It's an incoherent vibration, and you can call it dark vibration. And I have to be very specific here from the, because if I'm talking about these things, it's pretty much I'm talking about the physics or metaphysics. I have to be specific. Sometimes people call high frequency, raise your frequency, raise your frequency. Low frequency is bad, high frequency is good. This is not correct. High frequency, if it's incoherent, that is pain and fear and anxiety. Low frequency, if it's incoherent, that is pressure, depression, and sadness and whatnot, right? So it's not about the frequency, it's about the vibration. And what's the difference between the frequency and the vibration? You could have a high frequency that is low vibration, meaning it's incoherent because it doesn't have high vibration, high resonance. So it's a high frequency, low vibration, and it will feel like pain. Then you can have low frequency, low vibration, it will feel like pressure. Okay? So that's what's going on the energy level. Now, there's two types of vibrations that you can create out of this base incoherence, right? And from the lowest to the highest, the game is about making coherent at all these levels. And and some people talk about chakras and whatnot, but there are levels of the frequency, and the game is to make all of them coherent. Your low frequency coherence will feel like peace. Your high frequency coherence will feel like bliss. And so the low frequency, high vibration is peace, and that's compassion, and that's the ultimate, what people call divine feminine, is a state of consciousness of peace and compassion. Okay? And then what they call divine masculine is a high frequency, high vibration. Okay, and everything else that what you're talking about is just complete imaginary nonsense. You know, they're calling each other divine masculine. It's not this. Like if anybody in that state of consciousness, then you can call them. And it's not a person. It's a state of consciousness. Okay. And yes, some people may be living most of their lives in these states of consciousness, but not without the cost, not without paying their dues. And this is what I would call devotion is necessary to make the coherent, the lower frequencies coherent, and alchemy is necessary to make the higher frequencies coherent. And sort of you kind of need both, depending on the situation and the challenge that is arising. Okay. So now, but you can cheat at this. Instead of actually alchemizing or doing your devotion on these energies that happens to you every day, and it is a type of, I'll get to this like more specific of what that is, but you can cheat at this. And out of that bass noise, you can create this dark vibration music. Okay, and this is what we call false light. The false light is, instead of having these frequencies coherent because of your personal restructuring of your soul, right? And this is why, by the way, you are no longer affected, right? Because, okay, I'm going to get to this because it's a little bit more precise. But what I'm trying to say, there is this there's this darkness that is just entropy and it's not ordered. And it's just like incoherent. Out of that, you can, like I said, you can create high coherence and a high frequency and low frequency, high coherence, high vibration. You can create that out of this. But this is a correct path in life, and I call it alchemy and devotion. Okay, I'm just repeating myself, but I just want to drive this home. Now, you could cheat at that and be sort of, instead of a light sorcerer, you can be a dark sorcerer. And what you can do without okay, because the only way you can make these coherent is if you employ the logos and eros, and that is what people call the source. It's basically you are taking that incoherent frequency and bring it back to the source, and the source immediately makes it coherent. You can cheat at that, and without the source, you can try to make them into something that is abominable sound or abominable music, right? You can cheat at that, and without the source. And so there's a way that you require to create another structure that takes these frequencies, these high and low frequencies, and sort of stitch them together and force them to imitate the frequency of the source. And that is sort of like a honey trap of false light. And a lot of people who they tend to be dependent on psychedelics, they tend to be having this massive, and that's ego, by the way. And another word for it is artificial intelligence. Because if you're creating intelligence artificially, then by definition, you are not tapping into intelligence that already exists from the source. That's the true intelligence. But if you're creating it artificially, that's what happens. You create that vibration that is what that programs everything to run that way, because it is a sort of like a solution. It's like an abominable solution to the incoherence that was the basis of this reality and this experience. There's nothing wrong with this initial, pieces of the puzzle all over the place. There's nothing wrong with that. Now, how are you going to put them together? That's important. You can force them to fit together, and then you create this vibration that you know, puts people into this trance-like state, looking always for the solution for this, you know, this sense of the incoherence. And so there's this is sort of the opposite motion, right? And then there's, of course, there's a correct. So what we have now, we have this um, darkness, and then we have false light, and then we have real light. That's what it is. And that vibration, that music that I was listening to, was a false light vibration. Okay. And now I want to get to the point, like, why I wasn't affected by it. Because in the alchemy, you get to the point where you're not only alchemizing the ambient um, frequencies and making them coherent, you get to the point where you're actually dismantling that abominable vibration and making it into a real light. You're taking the false light, breaking it down, and then putting it and turning it into the real light. And that is the high levels of wisdom. Okay. So yeah, so there's, and so not this particular thing that I just described, who the souls that are capable of breaking down the false light and turning it back into the real light. Basically what it is, it's like this experience is like this. You take the power from them. Somebody who is an alchemist would be encountering that vibration that just forces you to be a zombie, right? And you either become a part of it and you fall asleep and you do zombie thing, or it either eats you or you eat it. And every time you eat it, you take the power from the false light and you're turning it into the real light. Okay. And this process requires a lot of willpower and a lot of effort. And I'm familiar with this process, and I know what it takes. And what else I can say about this? And anyway, the long story short, this is why I was not affected by it. If you play that vibration to me, which is quite toxic, and instead of looking for the solution to alleviate that toxicity through, these abominable ways, I suppose, I break that frequency down and I turn it. And I know how it feels like it's. I know how it feels like it's difficult to explain, but it's, I would say, like something that is toxic and kind of bitter, it's turning into the sweet. And I can do it, and I learn how to do it. I can break down the false light, and and their energy, the false light energy, is obviously still not running in the right frequencies, not creating the infinite flow of the toroidal field. It's still split, but in the center there's this imitation, and there's, like, you can call it dark light. And so they're beaming at that dark light, and innocent souls just go like, oh, there's light, we're gonna go here, it seems like a solution. And sometimes when there's a real light shows up and the false light shows up, which side the soul will gravitate towards, right? That is important. And some souls, they don't know the difference, and they will just gravitate to the false light, and they will be plugged to the machine. And if you communicate with them, they will say like, yeah, I know I'm plugged to the machine. This is, what's happening to me, but I don't know like what else to do. This is right now the experience that I'm having. And you know and I don't know, like it didn't feel to me like, because that artificial intelligence, that machine, it's like a pacifier, you know but really it says like, hey, I will take your soul energy and I will give you this pacifier, but I will take your soul energy. And people say, well, anything to stop this pain, and so they will go for it, right? And it's a type of entrapment. I didn't say this. I didn't say anything to stop the pain. I said the opposite. I said, no, I'm not gonna be fucking be bullied into this bullshit. I want to see what's inside this pain. And I went inside the pain, and I realized that, that's where the real light is. The same thing with the depression. I wasn't gonna fucking look for the solution of the depression. I said, well, I want to go into depression and see as how deep I can go into this. And so I did, and then I realized, it's fucking peace. Anyway, but there comes a point where when there's a little bit of a wakefulness happen in the soul, they realize, oh my god, this is a machine. I don't want to participate in this. And I see how negative it is for me and just sucking the life out of me. I want out, and I want to go anywhere, wherever the real light is. And if I can't alchemize the energies, I'll be closer to the places or people who can. And then little by little, I'll learn to do it myself. And that's the correct way of playing the game. Now, you may say, all right, so what do you, if you see that there's people can't do anything, the innocent souls cannot do anything, because if you run that frequency, that vibration onto them, they will be programmed. That vibration has everything. It has every single thought. It depends on how the soul is actually structured, but these negative thoughts that people have, negative feelings that people have, negative emotions, it is all packed in that one vibration. And this is why they have these, right? Keep on running, and they think that, oh, it's my thought, it's my insecurity. I'm thinking only I'm thinking this. Like everybody thinking this way, who are not protected from that vibration. It's the same boring thought process. And like I said, depending on your vulnerability, depending where you are in your time experience, you may be running one type of train of thought, another train of thought, but they're all loops. Something people call them time loops, but it's a perpetuating the same type of behavior, and getting a new relationship, having the same type of behavior, you see what I'm trying to say? Not really changing, because then everything around you is telling you to look for the solution in the knowledge, like another video, maybe this gonna help you, this gonna this, and all that stuff, And I'm saying it's not about the knowledge, it's about the vigilance. That's another word for it. It's about not looking for the solution for the pain, not looking for the solution for the pressure, but placing your attention there fully, because that's all it's asking you to do, is give attention. And the more attention you give to that, and like I said before, the best way is to give in between whatever that is not ideal is, and a background is between attention and awareness type of thing. And sometimes you need more attention, and sometimes you need more awareness. And you tune, and it's a type of the game of the soul. And if you do this once, then it means that you're the first time you actually have alchemized something by yourself, and your soul has grown. You sort of like let go, untie that knot that was perpetuating this behavior. And I also have to say, at first you may be needing untying one knot, another knot, another knot, and as you keep on untying them, it seems like fuck, they're never ending, but they do, because at the end you get to the point where it's just sort of like the one thing that causes everything else. You get to that one thing that causes everything else, and then you realize that's the only thing that I need to guard, and everything else will fall into place. But it appears that you got to get to that first. You got to beat the little bosses to get to the ultimate boss. But once you get to the ultimate boss, you say like, hey, I just have to be vigilant to place my attention on this thing, because that's where that vibration of evil may come through. So you end up sort of guarding the portal. And so the solution to this is the only solution that I can see is guarding that portal. And I think the game is being played like this. It's basically who is going to be in control of the throne, the dark sorcerers or the light sorcerers. And that's it. And if the dark sorcerers are in control, you can blame people that they are fucked up and messed up and all this, but they're just innocent, they just are being played with. So the real war is going on at this level, which means that the light sorcerers, should do their job. I don't know what happened, because it seemed like it's going the right way. They were building the pyramids and actually facilitating that organ feel good energy to make everybody else fall in line of, because there's only two types of like I said, the false light and the real light. There's only two types of energies according to which everything's going to be organized: the dark light civilization and the bright light civilization, if you will, or the white light civilization, right? That's what's going to be. And it felt like they were doing a good job in Egyptian times, but then something happened, and the real pharaohs that were actually working with these energies and alchemizing them all the time, guarding these portals, se fue, just disappeared. And then these other new pharaohs or new kings, they just ruined the name for the pharaoh, ruined the name for the king, because they were not the alchemists. They were not doing that type of work. They went to the false light way. And that's when everything just went to shit. And that's it. There's nothing else. You can talk about all these consequences, that in little things, oh, it's that fault, it's that fault. No, you are still looking at this left and right kind of situation. But left is bad and right is bad. They've always been bad. But there's something in between there that is infinite. And you can say this is below and this is above, or whatever, however you want to call it, that is truly good. And it's neither left, neither right. So that's how it's more like that. Okay. Now, I'm sure that this is a the most basic. And by the way, I made a video, the misunderstanding of prime directive is the root of all evil. And what I just described, that's the real prime directive. And the real prime directive is this: whether those incoherent energies are going to be aligned in the correct way or incorrect way, the false light or the real light. That's prime directive. And it can be real prime directive or the false prime directive. That is the true meaning of prime directive, I'm sure. And everything else was just a misunderstanding of it. Um, so now the question would be, what now? And like, take your attention away from the matrix. The matrix is that false light situation, and place your attention as much as possible on the holistics. For example, like, I quit Instagram scrolling, Facebook scrolling for some time ago, and I thought, like, well, maybe it's right, but then I realized, no, it's not all right. And now I have some little bit of scroll habit left, but immediately see where it takes me. If I'm doing YouTube scrolling sometimes, and it throws me away from my center. Also. And so, but this is why it comes in as, I call it alchemy, magic, and might, because you need all three. If you don't have might, then everything else, and by might I mean you gotta build certain type of structures in your life. And might is discipline. Is like the skills, habits, and infrastructure of your life. And you say, for example, to yourself, that is banned in my reality. For example, advertising is banned in my reality. Instagram and Facebook is banned in my reality. And now I will ban. I use Instagram and Facebook if people use it for the contacts, then I'll use it for that reason. But I don't go into scrolling. Now YouTube as well, I use it with no ads, and I use it for my own reasons. Google as well, like, use it. There is a part of Google that you can still be used without advertising, which is they call it organic. So there's an organic economy which you participate, and then an artificial one. And so you just need to block all your paths towards the artificial infrastructure and open all the paths towards the organic infrastructure. But you got to create that your own personal life laws, right? And right now, I basically sort of, in a way, banning the YouTube scrolling. Some time ago, I stopped shorts. I said, like, no, YouTube was never about shorts. This feels a lot like the same type of fucking Instagram bullshit and whatnot. And then poop, turn the shorts off. Because another trap, right? And now I'm limiting the scrolling, and because I shouldn't rely on an algorithm of experiencing my day. For example, if I rely more on organic synchronicity, it's like what I've dreamed about. It's like, okay, all right, so, and then I go and search this, then I find what I'm looking for from my soul, not I'm being put on a track from the outside. And you can feel it, because then you look at these videos and they're like, these are bullshit videos. These are just soul sucking videos. Like, what the fuck is this? It's like, Nothing is communicating. There's no value there. It's just taking your attention. And it's built in this way to take your attention and make you into the let me stare at the screen for a little bit, you know? And it's fucked up. Anyway, so if you have this type of willpower and you can say to yourself that, yeah, no more scrolling, searching, yes, this is how it always meant to be. You search for something and then you find it. This idea that you just open your phone and randomly, watch videos, it was never how YouTube was intended to use, you know? It wasn't, but I mean, when it was, YouTube was not part of the Google and was not part of the corporate machine. But now it is. But you can still have that infrastructure still there where you can say, like, okay, what do I need? Okay, that's what I need. You search, you find, and you still look. You can still use it as a search engine. Because though even the word advert is means to distract you from. Okay, and they even use that artificial synchronicity, right? Because like you spoken with a person about something and your phone perhaps overheard this, and then now you see this on your phone, and then you think, whoa, what a coincidence. That's an artificial synchronicity because the algorithm listened to your fucking keywords. That's not real synchronicity. And then if you click on that, you're gonna go on a path of some bullshit, and it's not your sole path. It's adverse reaction. Basically, it's distraction from your path. This is like what the advert really means. It's to distract you from what you really need. But that function of I need something, because you actually need something, then you say, okay, I'm gonna look for it, and you search for it and you find it, and that's how it's supposed to be. That's organic. Okay, I mean, if you can use Google in this way, you can use YouTube in this way, and you have that type of willpower. And I mean, of course, I use YouTube in advanced mode, where if you know a little bit of technology, you can revance all your apps and have them without the ads and without certain type of addictive functions that are there. You can still have that skeleton application that is useful for you, and you can use it that way. But you see, like you even have to go into this and you program it in a specific way, so to speak. It's not a lot. It's not a, when I say program it, somebody else has programmed it, and you just have to tweak your applications and stuff like that. You can check out Revanced on GitHub if you're interested in that, how to revance your application. There's a little bit of tweaking to do, and by the way, that tweaking and that complexity that is involved there is on purpose, so you have to be sort of motivated enough to do this. It's by default, it's not something, just click install and it's done. You've got to do a little bit of a tweaking there to have it, because if it's by default click and done, it's probably going to be blocked, and it's just not going to work, right? It has to have that quality of that the systems cannot block it, because you are essentially hacking the system. Okay, so with a little bit of hack, these systems are usable. Now, but little by little, I'm trying to move to the Odyssey and live the 100% organic economy and not artificial. Okay? And you see, like, look, I'll tell you something else, which is, oh my God, like, it's so slippery that vibration, it makes people, even some people have like good intentions, right? And maybe like making videos about permaculture and stuff like that. But then everything, once you put in that fucking machine and they make it about ads and revenues and everything, immediately is corrupted. You immediately see the people don't speak from the heart. They speak to appeal the algorithm. They use this corporate tone of voice that appeals the algorithm. They talk in a sort of like very pacifying way, like this this famous uh, this famous idea, or the same famous, I suppose, I don't know how you call it, but that voice, the corporate voice, is, we in our corporations, we care about your well-being, that kind of shit. So like with that intonation, everything is done, and then you watch the video, and it's supposed to be about the person sharing something, but it's been fucking hijacked by that machine, and that you can see that the person just sold their soul to make that fucking video to get those millions views, and it's not about what it's supposed to be anymore. And very few people that are still doing it, and you can see that they actually made the video to share with other people who can also learn of how to do this. And it's not about showing off, it's about learning how to fucking do this. All these other videos that just show off and it's like, oh, it's kind of cool, isn't it? It's just the same fucking shit. They can take something that is supposed to be holistic and put it through the shit machine and make it something that is about the ads and revenues and shit like that. And and it's like, oh, if I participate in this group of people, then I'm gonna be, in a holistic society. No, you won't. It's still the same bullshit ass shit. Look at where the energy is flowing. Look at like what this economy all about. Is it about sustainability of the ad revenues? And check out if the people are really living sustainably. Because sometimes I watch these videos, it's like, okay, what do you eat? I said, well, I live off the grid, and this is my day, and it's like, okay, where's your food coming from? And they don't talk about that, because they just go to the store and buy whatever they need, and it's not off the grid at all. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm trying to do this for real, and it takes a lot of effort, and to actually farm enough food to sustain a villa or a village. It takes time, it takes ingenuity, it takes a lot of things to actually do this, to actually live off the grid. And very little time is left to make any kind of videos about this. And this is why, like, I'm not showing this because I don't want to make it about me making videos for the YouTube. I want to make it about me living sustainably, 100% sustainably, for real. It's not for show. And then when this village is functioning this way, then I will make the videos, because I will, and then I won't make the videos to show off. I'm gonna make the videos that people can do the same thing and how it is done. And maybe some of the videos just like more for sometimes like watching like ambient videos of nature is nice. Like it's just, but of course it's best to just watch them nature directly, right? Still, anyway, so that's my little rant for today. It's very freaking tricky and slippery, and like I said, if the soul does not have their own connection to source, even the good intentions, you see, it does with everything. It just takes this, even the phrases what they did to New Age. Right now, New Age does not mean the New Age, the New Dawn. It just means that's what it means. It takes everything that's supposed to be and corrupts it and programs people that that's this. Oh, that's the new thing. But no, it's the same fucking shit that was before. It's just regurgitated, and now it's hijacking that thing that's supposed to be and faking it. This is always do that. This is why, like, I live in Mexico, Caribbean, so like Tulum was supposed to be about this, hijacked, and it was all now it's all about fucking Instagram and the superficial, and you go there and the vibe is shit as fuck. And maybe there are some communities, but I don't know many. I know a couple communities um, who live sustainably off the grid, and they have their own. There's like an Italian community. They're just basically all Italian people, and they live by themselves. And a couple of more of these that I know. But the rest of it is just show. You go there and it's like, oh, eco village. Really? What's the fucking eco about this? Because everything's built out of wood? Is that what the eco is? Everything's just show. It's not eco at all. Nothing is ecological. It's all false. It's all fake. It's not real luxury. You know? Because where the economy is about. It's about making as popular as possible on Instagram, revving the price up, and still plugging back to the same shit machine and participating in the artificial economy. And so that's what it's being used for? It's bullshit. So, anything else to rant about? No, I think that's it. So it's just like, my recommendation, always stay at the source. The vigilance is the word of the day that I want to communicate. The true meaning of vigilance is to always be aware, or always be awake. Always have your attention where attention needs to be. Guard your own portal. And if you don't let any kind of bullshit vibration to come through, and you transmute everything, you transmute the organic background noise, so to speak, the entropy that is in the background, and then you break down that false light thing and turn it into the real light thing. You see what I'm trying to say? As long as you keep on doing it, the reality is going to keep on getting better and better for you. That's the first order of business. Nothing else will do, because everything else is working on a level of the knowledge and not the level of the wisdom. Okay? Okay. And then you grow, and things that change actually change, and everything is new. And so, when people are searching for novelty, and so everything has to be a little bit different, but it's the same fucking shit structured in a different way. As long as the same shit structured in a different way, that's novelty for people. Oh, I gotta go do this. I gotta do this. I gotta travel there. It's like seeking novelty, seeking new things. It's like, what the fuck are you doing? Where the fuck are you going? What are you looking for? It's always the next thing. Always the next thing is gonna do it. It's the same trap. But the novelty, the true novelty, is not about different pixels in your reality. The true novelty comes where everything is in your heart is being new and fresh, and your feelings are always fresh and new, and you can be in the same place with the same person and see everything fresh and new, and always wondrous, I suppose, right? That's the word wonder is. It's because like everything is magical, and there's no seeking for the external novelty because novelty is already within you. You know. And it's delicious. Like I always say, true light is delicious. The false light is it's not delicious. Well, it's like artificial. It's not real thing. It doesn't satisfy you. There's no contentment there. It just gives you a hit of dopamine, if you will, jolt of dopamine, and then crash. And over here, living from the heart, it's not like that at all. It feeds your soul, so to speak, and it is enough, and you do feel content from whatever is happening. You know. And everything's delicious. Like more or less, I'm eating the same thing every day, but every day I'm looking forward to this deliciousness. You know what I'm saying? It's a little bit like I have to say it's a little bit like when you get high, smoke weed, and then you have that enjoyment of food because you're so present with it, and you eat and it's like, oh my gosh, it's the best shit I've ever eaten. Ate. My grandma. Anyway, anything else I have to say? No, that's it. It happens on the astral level, and they make that vibration, and everybody's programmed according to that tune. Everybody dance for that tune, unless there's somebody who breaks that tune and starts beaming the right tune, and then people gonna be dancing by that tune. So the game is played at this level, and nothing else really makes the change. And I assume that some people play it like at any, like whatever you do, whatever you are, if you really want to live life in this way, this is the way. It's always going to be about you feeling something that is kind of off and putting your attention there, facing it, alchemizing, as I call it, until it feels good. And then from that feeling good emotions, good thoughts, everything starts flowing. But there's this process that you got to go in and eventually get to the point where it's sort of like automatic. You get really good at it. And I got good at it by being, for example, I'm talking to you, but at the same time, I can be tuning the energies in the background as well. It's much easier when there's nothing going on in the physical and you just like meditate, right? But I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to be just like have to close my eyes in a specific position and then only then I can do it. I said, no, I want to live my life normally. Yes, sometimes I really love just to sit, and watch my garden and plants and animals. And at the same time, be playing with those energies and feeling amazing. So, and anybody can do it. Everyone who wants it can do it. It is a movement, the opposite movement that you always been doing. And look at them, and This doesn't ban any experience from life. This doesn't ban sex. Doesn't say that sex is bad. Doesn't say that eating food is bad. It doesn't say any of these things that sometimes portrayed as bad. But which way you're doing it, like if you're having sex out of lust, then you're gonna have that dopamine, and serotonin release, and then you're gonna have to crash. And so then you're gonna have to another one, like, so you get in the same cycle, and that sex is bad. That's a bad sex. Same thing with food. If you feel bad, and it's like, oh, I gotta eat something, and you eat, and then again, you're moving out of fear, and you're moving out of that. You're being moved by it. You see. But there's the opposite side of it, and there's an enjoyment, and then there's an enjoyment of food, and there's an enjoyment of sex, because you are not, um, you're transmuted to all the lust, and whatever is there, it's it's not out of addiction, out of enjoyment. So then there's totally could be, uh, you see what I'm trying to say here? Nothing is banned in your experience. Everything can be enjoyed still. Uh, this is why, even like smoking weed, for example, I think I'm going to make a video about smoking weed and other things in relationship to alchemy and devotion. Because I found that sometimes it's like the worst thing that you can do is smoke weed. Because for you at that time, you need to be focusing on whatever that energy that you got to alchemize. But then there's times that everything is flowing great, and it's like you got friends around you. Light that bitch up, I'm saying. And then everything just, you see like, oh, why smoke? And so then these, sometimes you have these like purist ideas that like, purists, right? Like you said, only eat kale, have no sex, and don't smoke weed, and don't just be, no, it's nonsense. You can enjoy everything in life. It's about enjoyment, but it's not a hedonistic type of enjoyment. This is why I want to say something about the word hedonism and asceticism. So the purists are ascetic, and then other people are hedonistic. You say, well, I'm just going to give in to my, uh, lustful desires, or ego tantrums, as I call them. And the ascetic says, like, well, I'm going to fight them. And so then you have these two extremes, but they're still trapped in the same bullshit game. But if you go and you alchemize that thing that's splitting you apart, that you want to connect back, and you don't connect back externally through patting yourself on the back that you're like, oh, you can say no to this, or patting yourself in the back that like you're indulging yourself in it. It's all ego, but you connect those dots internally, and then you can experience that. You already feel good, and you say, well, if you already feel good, like, why do you need to do it? Like, what the fuck are you talking about? It's to enjoy the experience and the variety of life. That's what. It's all different colors of bliss, but I want different colors of bliss. That's what soul wants, you know. And so, for example, when I smoke weed, not to fix something, because I do this with my alchemy and devotion, but what I do, like I said, I smoke whenever there's like a good company around. It changes my perspective, you know. I see things from a different perspective, and I can entertain like different views of reality, and that's enjoyable to me. I mean, if I don't smoke and I don't have anything to smoke, that's the right too. And the same thing even with eating, right? Like if there's something boring to eat, then that's all right. That's, you can still have a lot of enjoyment just from rice if there's nothing else to eat. But if there's a variety of food you eat, you enjoy everything. So it's like the difference between the pleasure and enjoyment. Like, I don't know, even the word pleasure. Um, I think that I don't like how the indulgence is supposed to be called indulgence, not pleasure. Because to me, pleasure is a beautiful word, but when it's used in a way that like, uh, hedonistic manner, then That shouldn't be called pleasure. This should be called something else. I don't know right now what should it be called, but mm, anyway, maybe indulgence. Anyway, I don't want to expand too much. It's almost over 1 hour. So yeah, so there's a way to live life that you don't lose anything. It's not asceticism. It's not like that at all. Hope that makes sense. Hope you like my video. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace.